Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have swatches for you from the August polish pickup. This month's theme is Weird Science. It'll be available the 7th through the 10th of August. So in the description box below, I will link the polish pickup site. I will link their Instagram page and my Instagram page where you can see more swatches of everything from today's video. These are also exclusive, everything that you see in today's video, to the polish pickup site. They won't be available on the maker's sites. And they will only be available through the 7th through the 10th. So after that date, you won't be able to purchase these anymore. Some items are also capped, and that just means that there's only so many available, and I will talk about those as we get to them. So I do have 21 products to look at today, and let's go ahead and get started. So first up, from Aurora, we have a nice greasy pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray. This was inspired by the Weird Science movie, and it's described as a brown flaky bomb packed with bronze and gold metallic flakies and a scattered metallic purple highlight. This will retail for $12, and there's a cap of 200 available in the US and 20 in the UK. This had a good formula. It took me 3 coats to build up to opacity. The base, I think, is a little too thin for some of these larger flakes to suspend in, so they do all sink to the bottom of the bottle for me. All I did was hold the bottle upside down, give it a good little shake. Some of them dispersed back in pretty quickly and easily, and then I left the bottle sitting upside down for about 3 minutes before I started swatching. You are definitely going to want top coat to smooth this out and bring some life back to it. It does dry on the dull side and with the slightest bit of texture, but nothing in this is going to take any scrubbing to remove. These kind of flakes can make a little bit of a mess around on your skin, but all that means to me is to add an extra cotton ball to my routine. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of a nice greasy pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray and a glossy top coat. So up next from Aurora, we have Having a Good Time Being Catatonic in a Closet. This is also inspired by the Weird Science movie by the frozen grandparents in the cupboard. This is described as a sheer effect topper that invokes the wonderfulness of White's blue kitchen and the reds and browns from Dany and Grampy's frocks. This will retail for $11, and there's a cap of 100 bottles available in the US and 10 in the UK. So this one had an excellent formula. I did this over a blue. It was Zoya's Marin. And I think it looked stunning. It shifted nicely. It covered nice and evenly. I didn't have any spots that were too thick or too thin. Very smooth and easy to work with. This one does dry a little bit on the dull side, so you will want top coat to finish this off, but nothing's going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 1 coat of Having a Good Time Being Catatonic in a Closet over Zoya's Marin and a glossy top coat. Up next from Black Dahlia Lacquer, we have Fusion. This is inspired by fusion reactions which combine 2 or more atoms. It's described as a violet jelly with a strong blue to green shift featuring hollow periwinkle flakes, shifting blue to green to purple ultrachrome chameleon flakies, and purple metallic flakies, as well as a blue to violet Aurora shimmer. This one will retail for $11.50, and there is no cap. Formula on this is excellent. It took 2 coats to build up to opacity. You can layer this over a black if you want a similar effect, but I think doing 2 coats of something is no problem at all. The flakes that are in here do stand out nicely on the nail. You are going to want top coat to finish this off. It does dry slightly textured and definitely dull. Nothing in this polish is going to take any scrubbing or difficulty removing, but again, this one is going to make a little bit of a mess around your cuticles and on your nails, on your actual skin. And I think it's the metallic flakes that do that, but again, that just means an extra cotton ball. You're not going to have to do any kind of extra scrubbing for this. But in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of Fusion and a glossy top coat. The other contribution this month from Black Dahlia Lacquer is called Spontaneous Combustion. This is inspired by thermal reactions, often reaching a red to pink or rose color during the reaction, and it's described as a sheer rose gold top coat, twinkling with rose to green Aurora shimmer, metallic rose gold flakies, and hollow flakies. This will retail for $11.50, and there is no cap. Again, a nice formula to work with. I didn't have any issues with being too thick in one spot and too thin in other spots. It applied nice and evenly across the nail. I did layer this over both black and white. The black is a very strong, shifty effect to it. The white, I was expecting it to tint the base more pink than it did because it looks pretty pink in the bottle. And while it did tint it slightly, I would still be able to look at my manicure and say I'm wearing a white. as opposed to like I'm wearing a super light pink. This does dry nice and glossy on its own and nothing dries textured, so if you want to use this as your top coat, in theory you could. I would still recommend putting a top coat over it. I did for my swatch photos just to keep your manicure lasting. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see one coat of Spontaneous Combustion over both black and white and a glossy top coat. Up next from Blush Lacquers, we have Postronic Brain. This is inspired by data from the Star Trek The Next Generation, and it's described as a buildable pea green nail polish with golden tones and holographic microflakes. This one will retail for $11, and there is no cap. Formula on this is very smooth, very buildable, very jelly, squishy look on the nail. I did 3 coats to build up to opacity. You could probably get away with 2 coats if you're not picky, but I did want an extra coat of these little flakes that are in here because they are stunning. This is definitely my kind of color. I thoroughly enjoy this. I don't swatch with a base coat. I did have some nail and skin staining when it came to this polish. And I generally leave my swatches on for about 10 minutes. So I did stain with this one. I would recommend definitely using a base coat if you're going to grab this. You are going to want top coat to finish this off. It does dry a little bit dull, so I would definitely recommend that, but nothing is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Postronic Brain and a glossy top coat. Next up from by Dany Vianna, we have Carbonation. This is inspired by the Coke and Mentos experiment, and it's described as a dark brown jelly with holographic flakes and white glitter. This one will retail for $11.50, and there's a cap of 250 bottles in the US and 20 in the UK. This one was nice and easy to work with. I did have a little bit of a difficult time getting the larger glitters out of here, but I did a little bit of swirling and I was able to get them out fine. It does take some manipulation to get them to spread out nice and evenly across the nail. It's not difficult, and you can also do some glitter placement if you're super picky about that kind of thing. I didn't, but I did do some swirling. I did 3 coats of this to build it up to full opacity. You are going to want top coat to smooth everything out. Those glitters are going to dry with some texture, and removal is going to be difficult. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Carbonation and a glossy top coat. Next up from Clarissa Carroll, we have Hotter Than the Sun. This is inspired by the Solar Corona, and it's described as an olive brown shifting polish with hollow and ultra chrome chameleon flakies. This one will retail for $12.50, and there is no cap. Formula on this is very smooth, easy to work with. I got it completely opaque in 2 coats. You're definitely going to want a base coat under this one as well. I did experience some skin staining. I didn't have any kind of nail staining, but when you add so much of a yellow pigment with nothing to kind of counteract it, you are going to experience potentially some staining. A base coat generally takes care of that, but again, I don't swatch with a base coat. You are going to want top coat to finish this off. It does dry dull and slightly textured, but nothing in this is going to be difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of Hotter Than the Sun and a glossy top coat. Up next from the Deeva, we have CO2 Bubbles and Liquor Doubles. This is inspired by dry ice, and it's described as a bright blue to violet solar polish, jam-packed, full of blue, pink, and purple flakes, along with a plethora of shifty goodness. This will be $13 with no cap. This has an excellent formula. It took me 3 coats to build up to opacity, but it's very smooth, very easy to work with. The flakes that are in here come out nicely. They lie nice and evenly across the nail. I didn't have any issues with running, pulling, or staining with this one. You are going to want top coat because it dries on the dull side, but nothing in this is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. And the solar effect is super easy on it. I didn't have sunlight. I generally swatch at night, but I did use a UV light to catch the shift as best as I possibly could, and I had no issues. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of CO2 Bubbles and Liquor Doubles in a glossy top coat. So up next from Indie by Patty Lopes, we have Dark Experiments. This is inspired by Test Tube Experiments, and it's described as a gray curly base with red matte glitters and iridescent flakies multi-chrome. This will retail for $12, and there's a cap of 180 bottles in the US and 20 in the UK. This has a good buildable formula. It is a little bit on the sheer side. I did 3 coats to build this one up to opacity. You do get a good amount of glitter out. I didn't have to do any fishing, swirling, holding the bottle upside down or anything like that to get them to come out, and they did light evenly across the nail. I didn't have to do any kind of manipulation to get them to do so. I love the little tiny bar glitters that are in here. I think they accent the polish beautifully. I know I'm in the minority here, but I absolutely love bar glitter, and I think it works together with this polish really, really well. You are going to want top coat to smooth this out. It does dry on the textured side because of all the glitter that's in here, and it's also going to be more difficult to remove. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Dark Experiments and a glossy top coat. The other contribution this month from Indie by Patty Lopes is called Meet Me in Montauk, which I'm not sure I'm saying right. This is inspired by Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind movie, and it's described as an Aurora shimmer that goes from blue to purple to pink to green with multi-chrome micro flakes and a hollow pigment. This will be $12, and there's a cap of 80 bottles in the US and 10 in the UK. This had an excellent formula. I did 1 coat of this over Orly's Gotta Bounce, and it looked beautiful. The flakes that are in here, the hollow that's in here, the shifty shimmer that's in here, you can make out every single one of those elements. I do think this is one that's going to shine best over darker colors. That's why I chose to do it over a darker color as opposed to something lighter. But I do think it's going to give a gorgeous effect either way. I just think it would shine best over those darker shades. This covers nice and evenly across the nail. I didn't, again, have any spots that were too thick or too thin in some spots. You are going to want top coat to finish this one off. It doesn't dry dull per se, but it doesn't dry super glossy either, and a top coat is going to help the hollow stand out. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 1 coat of Meet Me in Montauk, which again I'm probably saying wrong, over Orly's Gotta Bounce, and a glossy top coat. Up next from KB Shimmer, we have He Slimed Me. This is inspired by the Slimer from Ghostbusters, and it's described as a neon green polish loaded with color shifting flakes that show glimmers of gold and green. There's also a hint of a holographic micro flake. This one will retail for $10, and there is no cap. I got excellent coverage with this in just 2 coats. Formula was super smooth and easy to work with. It was a little bit on the thicker side, but not difficult to place whatsoever. There's so many flakes in here though that you do have to be mindful that your first coat is completely dry before adding a second coat. Otherwise it can get a little bit thick and goopy on the nail, which kind of goes with the slime thing, but it's not as attractive. So just be mindful, make sure your coats are dry in between applying, and it applies beautifully in just 2. The flakes that are in here shift beautifully. They stand out well on the nail. This is gorgeous matte. I love how this looks with a matte top coat. I would recommend using a top coat either way. It does dry a little bit dull and slightly textured. Nothing in this is going to be difficult to remove though, so in my swatch photo you're going to see 2 coats of He Slimed Me and a glossy top coat. The other contribution this month from KB Shimmer is their Sugar Scrub in the scent Citrus Cooler. This is inspired by the Ecto Cooler from Ghostbusters, and it's described as having a bright and fresh scent with notes of orange, grapefruit, lemon, and lime. There's also subtle hints of cucumber, jasmine, pineapple, blackberry, and champagne. This will be $10, and there is no cap. Every single month I look forward to getting a KB Shimmer Sugar Scrub. I use them in every aspect of my life, every room in my house at this point. I was able to give a couple of them away before moving here, so I am super happy to replenish my stash and keep putting them in my bathrooms, in my shower, next to the sinks. I started using this after shaving my legs, and it totally took care of any bumps that I would have after shaving my legs. So I can never ever be without this stuff. The scent of this one is very, very fruity, very tropical, very summery. So I really, really like this one. That is the Sugar Scrub in the scent Citrus Cooler from KB Shimmer. Next up from LynB Designs, we have Petri Dish Picasso. This is inspired by Agar Art, and it's described as a neon teal crelly with various size matte glitters in neon pink, blue, green, and yellow, orange, and matte glitters in teal and lavender. This will be $12, and there is no cap. The formula on this is good. I did 2 coats to build it up to opacity. My coats were a little bit on the thicker side, so depending on your application, you might want to go in for 3. This is going to dry with some serious texture because there's a ton of glitter in here, so you're definitely going to want 1 or 2 coats of a glossy top coat to finish this off. I generally like those thicker kind of top coats for glitter like this. It cuts down the chance or the possibility of me having to add a second top coat. So depending on what kind of top coat you use, 1 or 2 coats of that is going to smooth this out. And removal is going to be difficult because of all the glitter that's in here. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of Petri dish, Picasso, and a glossy top coat. Next up from Native War Paints, we have Magic Lipstick. This is inspired by Lipstick Queen's Frog Prince lipstick, and it's described as a reddish pink with green holographic glitter, green sparkles, and a green gold shifting shimmer. This will be $12.50, and there's a cap of 150 bottles in the US and 25 in the UK. This had a good formula. It wasn't too thick or too thin. It spread out nice and evenly across the nail. I got it completely opaque in 2 coats with 0 possibility, in my opinion, of needing a 3rd coat. The glitter that's in here spreads out super evenly, super easily. I didn't have to do any kind of manipulation to get it to do so. The glitter that's in here is definitely the forerunner, but when I brought it out in the sunlight, the shimmer stood out really, really beautifully. So I really think this is a gorgeous polish, a gorgeous combination, and something completely original. You are going to want top coat to smooth this out. It is going to dry with some texture. There's a ton of glitter in here, and removal is going to be difficult. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of Magic Lipstick and a glossy top coat. The other contribution from Native War Paints is their Magic Lipstick Foam Grip. It's got the same inspiration, but it's a white foam grip with chunky green to blue shifting glitter, green and pink holographic glitters with a generous coat of epoxy. This will be $12.50, and there will be 20 available in the US and 5 in the UK. So this is just a pop socket. It goes on the back of your phone. There is a 3M to it. It goes on the back of your phone. It sticks to your phone, and then you can hold it like this without having any like slippage issues. I do generally use these. I don't use them on the back of my Minnie Mouse phone case though, so I didn't apply it as intended. You can with these take them off. There's little clips on the back, so you can take them off and replace it. I do have a black phone case that I used to use, so I did replace it on that one, and it worked like a pop socket should work. It's a gorgeous color combination. It's not something though that I necessarily think that I would rock on the daily. So that is their Magic Lipstick Foam Grip. So up next from my brand Pampered Polishes, we have Science Rules. This is inspired by Bill Nye the Science Guy, and it's described as a deep eggplant purple jelly base with a bright blue micro flaky, blue to purple to green shifting iridescent flakies, and neon pink micro glitter. This will be $13, and there is no cap. I think this one has a good formula. I did 3 coats to build it up to opacity. You can make out every single little element that's in there. The neon pink glitter I think stands out really nicely against the deeper purple base. The shifty shimmers, the shifty flakies stand out really nicely. I don't like to do it on my own polishes, especially in these kind of videos where there's, a bunch of other beautiful things to look at. So I'm going to keep that there. It did take me 3 coats to build this one up to opacity. You are going to want top coat to smooth this out. There is some glitter in there, but it's the super fine neon micro glitters, so they're not super difficult to remove, but they're not going to be as easy as if they weren't in there. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Science Rules and a glossy top coat. Next up from Rogue Lacquer, we have Rainbow Ice Ice Baby. This is inspired by the Rainbow Ice Experiment, and it's described as a creamy white base loaded with a rainbow of micro metallic flakies. This will be $12.50, and there is no cap. This has a good formula. I didn't have any running, pooling, or staining. Nothing in here was too thick to work with. These purple flakes are a little bit on the larger side, so they can add some texture to the polish in general, but you are going to want top coat either way because it does dry dull, but a top coat will also help smooth out those purple flakes. Nothing in this is going to be difficult to remove. I did 3 coats of this one to build it up to full opacity. I would recommend going in and doing all 3 of those coats as well. You're going to add some depth in all of these flakes through the white base, and it looks really beautiful. This is one that I do love with a matte top coat as well. I'm not sure that I photographed it with a matte top coat, but I did wear it that way, and it was gorgeous. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Rainbow Ice Ice Baby and a glossy top coat. Next up from Sassy Pants Polish, we have Rainbow Rain. This is inspired by the Rainbow Rain Experiment, and it's described as an ultra silver holographic base with assorted holographic and crystal rainbow flakies, finished with a beautiful purple to green shifting shimmer. This will retail for $12, and there is no cap. The opacity on this one really surprised me when I first saw it. I assumed I was going to swatch it on 3 coats on its own and then once over a different base color. Completely unnecessary. This one built up perfectly in 2 coats, all by itself, no sponging, no anything, very pigmented holographic base. The glitter that's in here stands out beautifully. It's not fighting with the hollow. It holds its own. You can see every last bit of it in there and it's really, really stunning. I did 2 coats, like I said, for full opacity. Depending on your application, you might want to go in for 3, but any kind of visible nail line that's left after the 2 coats, I feel is going to be hidden by all the holographic and all the sparkle anyway. You are going to want top coat to smooth this out. It is a glitter. It does dry super textured, so bear that in mind, and because it's that glitter, it's also going to be very difficult to remove. But in my swatch photo, you're going to see 2 coats of Rainbow Rain and a glossy top coat. And lastly for today from Watcha, we have Glitter Volcano Experiment. This is inspired by the Glitter Volcano Experiment, and it's described as a white curly base with flakes, multichrome, and glitters, purple and turquoise. This will be $13, and there's a cap of $250 in the US and $20 in the UK. This had a good formula. It wasn't too thick or too thin. I did 3 coats and built it up to about 90% opacity. I could still make out my nail line if I was looking for it, but I don't think it'd be an issue in the everyday scenario where somebody's so close to your nails that they say that's not opaque. So 3 coats covered perfectly for me. I was happy with it. It did give off a gorgeous flaky effect. The little tiny itty bitty bits of glitter that are in here are gorgeous. Everything works together so beautifully in this polish, and I really liked it. This is one that I think would look gorgeous with a matte top coat. I did not do that this time, but I think it would be stunning. The base to this is a little bit more of a milky white as opposed to a stark white, so it's not going to be super blinding on the nail either, which I do thoroughly appreciate. This is going to dry with the slightest bit of texture, so you are going to want top coat to smooth this out, and removal is going to be decently easy. Everything that's in here as far as glitter goes are tiny little micro glitters, so they, again, like in my polish, aren't super difficult to remove, but they're not going to be as easy as if they weren't in there. So in my swatch photo, you're going to see 3 coats of Glitter Volcano Experiment and a glossy top coat. And guys, that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of these polishes. Let me know what you plan on picking up from this month's polish pickup. Let me know what your favorite was from today's video. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time.